Hello. Today I would like to discuss with you the release that just came out by Steven Spielberg called Disclosure Day. And as the subject that we've been talking about, this is going to tie in with it. This is something a little bit different than you hear me talk about, but it is very pertinent to what we've been studying and what is going on and what will be going on. In the beginning of it, you will see a multi-layer in the background while this disclosure is working up, building up. You can see chaos in the world, but no focus on it because there's other things going on as well. And so you have this other stuff going on in the backdrop, but then in the forefront, you're dealing with this story for the buildup of disclosure. And I want you to realize that that's not a mistake. People say it was poor writing, but it is actually telling you the truth. They try to distract us by giving us a bone. They try to have us look at one thing to shift our minds off of other things. And that is a fact. It wasn't poor writing on his behalf. It was a subtlety that had meaning. Now, for those that have seen Steven Spielberg's movies, you would think that it was going to be in your face, it was going to be dramatic, but instead it was calm. In fact, it was a little bit too calm, but it was done on purpose. Why? Because there were some things going on that you may or may not notice. And one of the reasons why I recommended that people not go if they had been through any of the programs is because it might waken things up that hasn't been dealt with. There were symbolism such as butterflies from MK Ultra. There were other things from the Gateway program and the Pooling for Educational program, the LED and the LAD. And you will see these subtleties worked throughout the film. I noticed the sound even because of the auditory part at times would be on the left and then switch to the right. And it would be sounds that had nothing to really do with what's going on that you're focusing on. And I also noticed 3 different places where light was used. And since I had been given privy to the not only the auditory part of it, but the visual part of it, I recognized it. At first I kind of ignored it, but then it was like poof, you can't ignore it because of the lighting was shifted off center to the left or to the right with what would appear to be shafts of light or infiltration of light that was not tended to on top of the film, which was actually in the way, but not so much in the way that you would care unless you were needing to focus on it for some reason. These colors that were to the left or the right were also used in the visual portions of these programs. We see the children are the focus of the ones that are being programmed. They did not do it by their own will. They were deceived. We see what we call shape-shifting in the movie to deceive the children. We see them being programmed unwantingly. And then we see them awaken later on for the purposes of this disclosure. Now, there are people that are waking up now to the truth of what happened to them. They're either waking up to the truth because they are now feeling like they need to go forward with this and they need to develop more, or they're noticing because they want to get rid of what has happened and the effects of it because they're a believer now. So we have the two aspects going on. But then with things like this movie that's coming up, you're going to see more and more people who are interested in it. And they're going to think, well, how cool can this be? I could communicate with this entity. During the astral projection, after a certain phase, you deal with entities and they tell you information. And this is the same thing here, whether it be through programming or whether it be through what they're showing in the movie, abductions and programming. Besides shape-shifting, we also saw what we call soul flying. We saw soul flying where the person manifested in front of another person, was able to talk and communicate, whether it be auditorily or mentally with someone. And at the same time, they took possession of another person. Literally possession, demon possession, demonic possession, temporarily. And they use vernacular in this movie. They mainly focus on the Catholic Church. I'm not going to get caught up in that subject right now. I have other stuff on here to think about the Catholic Church, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But this is a deception. They show stigmata with a lady that's a girlfriend of one of the guy that grew up that was abducted and programmed. She has a cross in her hand, and whenever she squishes it, not only blood comes out, but water, which is, to me, is blasphemy. It's blood and water flowing out of her so she can be a redemptor of mankind. And there is misrepresentation of whenever the Lord called out to God, asking that the cup would pass from him. She also does this, but it was during the possession. And so therefore it's towards an entity and not to God whenever the prayer was spoken. There's no way she could have been a savior. No one can be a savior to the world other than Jesus was. There's a lot more I could get into, but the main thing is it's showing the distractions. It's showing the effects that could have happened to people. It's showing that they can wake them up when the time is needed. It's paralleling with some of the things that are going on militarily, as well as the disclosure. And it's trying to get people sidetracked in the area of religion, trying to question their faith in God because they misrepresent Genesis and they misrepresent the creation of man, and they make references to the Bible that are completely unscriptural. They've reworded it to frame it to fit their purpose. And the Lord warns us in a word that Satan comes to us as an angel of light. And he does that to deceive and to trick and to get us off track. But the Lord wants you and I to use discernment so that we would not get off track, but that we would stay the course and that we would understand what's going on around us. If you've not been in any of these programs and you want to watch it, I'm not telling you don't watch it, but I'm going to tell you you're going to be disappointed because you're not going to understand anything except for whatever you've learned through programs like what I've done over the last week and a half, other people talking about the same thing, because you won't have those little cues pop up when something's said or done within the movie to have you remember that. And so that's why I said to be careful if you had been in it, because there's probably things I didn't notice about the subtleties besides the auditory, the words, and the visual. I could have missed something, but I'm not controlled or manipulated by it because of the blood of the Lamb, and I had no problems because of the effects, because there is no effects on me, because my mother was a godly woman and made sure she prayed whenever we knew and understood what was going on. So, that being said, I'm going to stop, and I will connect this to the Nephilim and what is going on with this disclosure in depth and more concise language for you. So, God bless you. Keep running with God. And I'll see you soon.